From Trimble Construction, you're listening to the Connected Construction Show, where we connect you to the contractors, owners, designers, engineers, and construction professionals who are finding better ways to work. And now, here's your host, Matt Sprague.
Hello and welcome back to the Connected Construction Show. I'm your host, Matt Sprague. We are here recording live at Dimensions 2022 in Las Vegas. You can tell the sound booth is different than our normal settings for these. Very excited to have our guests here today. I have with me, and I'm going to do them both a favor and not try to do their last names. I will allow them to do it. But I have Pekka and Tuomo here, both from Finland, and they're part of a project that won the 2022 Tekla Global BIM Award. And we're super excited to have you on the show and to tell us a little bit about the project. So welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure.
Yeah, this is a neat atmosphere we have here. We're on the trade show floor here at Dimensions. Have people behind the camera kind of looking in like we're a bunch of animals inside of a cage, but it's fun nonetheless. So before we get going, tell our audience a little bit about yourself. So kind of introduce yourself, where you're from, what led you to where you are in the industry today. So Pekka, we'll start with you.
Okay, I'm Pekka from Finland, obviously, and I'm working in Ramboll Structural Design. I'm a department manager of Ramboll, and in T2 I was a project manager of structural design. So I think that's my story shortly. And I live in Helsinki, capital of Finland.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tuomo?
So my name is Tuomo Lindstedt, and I work as the project manager for the awarded project. So it's a project that we did at Helsinki Airport, so our main airport, and it's an extension project. And I've been the head of that project for almost 7 years now. And before that, I was a construction consultant for some years, and then I've been working for this ever since I joined Finavia, which is the airport operator itself.
Okay, excellent.
So it's been my child from 2016. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about the project, and you know what were the merits of that project that led you to that.
So of course in Finnish scale it's a big project. It's a huge project, and in Finavia scale it's we consider it as a mega project. It's been very challenging. The actual site itself is very packed because it's an operational airport, and it was operational during the construction project itself. So it was extremely complex. It was the scale in our sense was huge, and we still managed to get that in schedule, in budget, and achieved all our objectives that we aimed for. So in that sense, it was a hugely successful project.
So was it adding a new terminal? Was it renovating an existing terminal?
Both.
All of the above.
Both. Yeah. So it was an addition to the existing terminal. So it was an addition, and also what it made possible that we could then renovate the existing terminal. We could make more space to the existing terminal because it's an airport, and there's runways that force you to expand into a certain direction. So in that sense, we wanted to have more space inside the old terminal, and we weren't able to expand it towards the runway, so we needed to make more space to landside areas.
Okay.
So, in that sense, because the landside area is heavily populated, so to say, it was very crucial that we knew at the early stage what we were doing and what kind of phases were needed.
Yeah. So here's a kind of a question that just kind of popped in my head. So obviously it's the Tekla Global BIM Award. So you leveraged BIM to be able to coordinate such a complex project. Can you imagine what that project would have been like? Would it even have been possible to do without BIM technology?
No, it can't be, because it was so tight schedule and technically challenging. And of course, the rapid changes are always possible in that kind of project. So without the BIM, it's not possible.
It would have been like a complete demolition and start over.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And whatnot. So there's a massive cost savings from that perspective, right?
Yes.
In that perspective and schedule-wise, it was because we don't need to do any changes during the construction phase, or at least that much changes.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, what new methods were utilized in this project?
New methods. We use this kind of virtual safaris to include the end users into the design phase. So we kind of had a safari guide to guide all the users inside the terminal when it was just a BIM model, so to say. Yep. So we did these safaris and asked the end users what they think of it. Do they find anything that they want to change? Is it like they want it to be, or stuff like that? So in that sense, we got early feedback from the end users, and they kind of got a better understanding how it will look, what are the perspectives, what's the size scale, etc. So in that sense, we got a lot of information from the end users, and that's just one of the implementations that we used.
Yep. Interesting. So the contracting mechanism being IPD. So timeout. What is IPD?
So IPD is a contract model, integrated project delivery, and it includes different parties. For example, in our project included us, the owner, the designers, all the designers actually. So architects, engineers such as mechanical engineers and HVAC engineers, they were all part of the project, the contract, and also the contractor itself. So it was one contract including all different parties, the designers, the owner, and the contractor itself. So the objective for all parties, cost-wise, schedule-wise, was the same. So if there was cost overruns, it would affect all parties, not only one.
Yep.
If there was schedule overruns, it would affect all parties, not only one. So if one benefits, all benefits. If one loses, all lose. So it's I think it's a good contract type.
Interesting.
I think it's more cooperation, not so fighting. So it's really it helps on that perspective.
Yeah, because all have the same objective.
Yeah.
Same goal.
Prior to IPD, what was the most common contracting mechanism within Finland?
It's a kind of unique model in Finland, so not that much used in other countries. It's a project management contract.
Okay.
So it's like the main contractor orders subcontracts. That's typical, but it's like the cost is like you have aim for the cost, and then you have the cap cost, and you just buy different subcontracts during the process.
Okay.
So you don't buy the whole project at once, but you buy it as you go.
Okay.
So in that sense, you do design during the construction, and you buy these different construction packages as you go. And in that sense, it's easier for Finns to adapt these alliance or IPD models.
Yeah. So what were the biggest benefits from moving from that model to IPD?
I think the biggest benefit is that old model was that we as an owner and developer, we need to do contracts with the contractor, and then we do separate contracts with the designers. And then when you need to do changes, you need to agree with different parties. So it takes more time. It's more time consuming, and maybe some parties will try to optimize their objectives in cost of the others. But when you do a simultaneous or combined contract, so that all parties are under one contract, and you have the same goal, same objectives, then you don't have the pull for one party to maximize their profit, their
Yeah, it's a trickle down effect. The gain of one is the gain of the other. Is the gain of the other. Is the gain of the other. Is the gain of the owner.
So and in this case, the collaboration improved quite a lot.
That's awesome. So, what other methods? I'm assuming a lot of it was the BIM methodology that was utilized in this project. What was new that really made this project shine?
I think, of course, we modeled everything like rebars and that kind of things, but then we used the parametrical design. So we use Rhino, architects use Rhino, and we make parametrical design so we can make rapid changes possible and optimize the effectiveness of the structures. So I think that's quite new in our perspective.
Yeah, in that sense, because it's an airport and we do quite rapid changes in our project during the design and also during the construction, which is sometimes challenging. But in this case, what that made possible was that we could do those rapid changes until the last minute.
So one of the things here in the United States is that you could get an owner and designers to create a BIM model for this project. But in the end, the contractors that are building it smush it down to a PDF 2D and end up having to execute the project in that manner. Is it the IPD mechanism that was again agreed upon within that, saying that we're going to leverage BIM all throughout, or is that just innate within your country that more contractors have adopted the use of BIM technology or BIM utilization for executing projects?
It's getting there. More and more contractors are implementing BIM, but it's not a given. So in this project, when we procured our contractors and of course our designers, we demanded them that they show us that they have experience in BIM, enough experience to build an airport, complex airport, and we demanded that the contractor will do a BIM utilization plan that we then reviewed when we did the procurement. Yep. So we reviewed their utilization plan before we selected the contractor. So we wanted them to address us how they will use BIM. And in that sense, we used BIM in cost surveying, 4D scheduling, site management. Our site managers used BIM in their mobile phones, for example. So they had quite excessive BIM usage during the construction. But that wasn't like a given because it was demanded by us. And of course, we had this kind of a push-pull effect because designers are more used to do with BIM, and they do it quite well in Finland. But to have this mutual agreement that the contractor uses what the designers do, and they kind of can tell the designers what they want. Yep. And this is new. This is something you have to demand in order to get it running. And this was very successful.
I think you just hit the word. From the owner's perspective, you demanded it to be done, and that's the only way it gets going. So from some of the products that I work with for my day job is from the owner's perspective, and we've been trying to tell that to the message within the United States. It's like you get to determine the path of digital transformation, that you can demand these type of things, and that's how the difference will make. So that's wonderful to hear that in there. So you kind of started to answer my next question in that when I asked around BIM utilization for contractors, that it's getting more and more. But for both topics, what we talked about, the IPD, but also BIM utilization, are you seeing it continuing to accelerate in terms of usage on projects?
Of course, it's ongoing process, and of course it's going to be every day more easier to work with because people are getting familiar about those processes. So.
And they're starting to see the benefits in successful projects. So it's moving towards these days more rapidly than past. But in Finland, we have quite good past of BIM usage in our project. We have done it already for almost 20 years now.
So what could the effect be on the industry? We'll just stay within Finland instead of the whole world. But we'll say, like what could the effect on the industry within Finland be if IPD is adopted as a whole, like every project?
Challenging question, because I don't see that IPD is an answer to every project. So
Okay.
if you have a very simple project,
Gotcha.
IPD contract is complex. You need to understand that all the parties know what they're signing. So to have that combined contract, you need to do more, and you need more involvement from the owner itself. So if you want to have a simple project and you don't want that much involvement, you should use some other methods. So for example, design build or more traditional project delivery methods.
Yep, that makes sense. It's a little overkill.
Yeah.
But for larger projects, IPD at least seems like it's the best one.
Yeah,
moving
I would
forward.
agree. Yeah.
But I would imagine that it's like, okay, so like, were you able to quantify with the airport project, like what the cost savings and the time savings were, and then therefore what was the sustainability effect and all those type of things? Has it matured into that level of understanding yet?
I think one of our biggest achievements was, scheduling is of course crucial in these kind of projects. We had the actual contractual date was by the end of the year, and we had a target date that the project should deliver it 2 months before the contractual date.
Yep.
We managed to squeeze that we were 4 months ahead of the contractual deadline. We decided that, or we had a clause in our contract that the contractor needs to assign this to the owner 6 months before the handover. So we knew 10 months before the contractual deadline that we were going to finish the project 4 months early. So because our design was so mature, we used BIM in scheduling. We used the 4D scheduling, as I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And we had this collaboration between the different contractors and the designers. So we were quite certain we would hit that goal, and we did. So I think that was the biggest benefit that I can come up with.
Yeah, and you figured that if that gets expanded to all major projects, that's a large impact to not only the individual organizations, but the industry as a whole. I would imagine it's the same idea that those contractors, because they did it 4 months ahead of time, they can do more work, right?
Exactly.
It's not like they're getting paid less because it was it was contracted at the beginning. So
exactly, yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, in designer perspective, I think it's no fighting. I think that's the main thing, that it was really glad to make that project, because no fighting, only there's a common benefits.
Yeah, collaboration as opposed to bickering.
Yeah, that's the key.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, believe it or not, that was the last question. So I'm kind of giving these guys the short end of the stick. I haven't given them much time to really think about what our standard last question is, which is, what is your motto, or what is a motto that you've heard that you find to be intriguing, interesting, a lesson to live by?
In my perspective, I think respect and help each other.
Respect and help each other.
I think that's a...
That goes in line with IPD as well, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I would also go with respect others. So that's...
Yeah, you figure within the industry, it's been, not that people didn't respect each other, but they had to worry about themselves first and foremost because of the contracting,
Exactly.
the situation that it puts them in. And like you said, with the mechanism that you guys utilized and leveraging like so much more can be done, and so many more benefits can be actualized. So that's excellent. So, well, thank you guys so much for joining the show. I hope it wasn't too painful.
Yeah, that's just nice.
And everybody who's listening, watching, thank you for tuning in. And until next time, stay connected.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Connected Construction Show. For more information, visit us at connectedconstructionshow.com.